and jump back to baseball. As this gentleman, as the caller just said, it is baseball season. I want to touch upon a subject that I have touched upon, briefly before, but it just appears to be building momentum. Somewhere within the stupidity of the last generation of ball players, many of them Hall of Famers, but somewhere in the, in the soup of Goose Gossage and Mike Schmidt and whoever else is saying, hey, look, these young guys today, they just don't get it, what have you. I think, honestly, the old guys today just don't get it. The old guys today don't get the fact that baseball, by the next generation, by this generation of millennials who just plays on devices, and that's why even when they go to the games, they are so disengaged from your game, even when they're there sitting in the ballpark, that they're getting hit upside their heads with bats and balls and everything else. I mean, granted, the players are bigger and stronger, and it brings about a whole discussion around, should baseball be putting up nets? Yes, by the way, I think they should be putting up nets just from a liability perspective. Anybody who's in a C-suite in anybody's major league ballpark at this point who's not putting up nets to protect the fans, I just think makes no sense. Internationally, in Japan and a couple of other places, they're putting up nets, foul pole to foul pole. So why we're only doing it domestically in Major League Baseball, dugout to dugout, with the exception of 2 or 3 teams that have extended a little bit further. Look, it's gonna go where it's gonna go. To me, I believe it's like the glass in hockey. I think when I was growing up, if I recall correctly, I may even defer to Nick and Chuck. Nick and Chuck, were you guys hockey fans at all growing up? No, so were you guys hockey fans at all growing up? Yes. Okay. All right. I was just wondering because to me, if I recall correctly, I thought that I recalled hockey just having like the glass up to protect the fans. I thought just kind of behind the net in that area, but not all the way around like they do today. But I wasn't an avid hockey guy, but to me, that's how I kind of remember hockey and associate it growing up. And I guess to me, it has just evolved into something else. And protecting fans just from a liability standpoint today is just a lot more important. So to me, that's what baseball just needs to do. They just need to put up nets all the way around. But that being said, going back to Gossage, Schmidt, those guys who feel that somehow the game is fine just as it is and doesn't need to change at all, they're just kidding themselves. I mean, they're kidding themselves, and they are so out of touch with the millennials and what today's fans want to see. The 2 best baseball players, the 2 most marketable guys, and the 2 best players, period, full stop, are Trout and Harper. And if those 2 guys are saying, hey, you know what? The game kind of sucks the way it is, and if we could make it a little bit more exciting, and they both, are estimated at this point to have if it all works out, should have 20-year careers and may make literally more than $500 million in their contractual life, in their contractual lives as baseball players. When they're going to make that kind of money and they're at the top of the game, perennial all-stars, they're just, they're the most quoted, they're the most followed, they're the most exciting. I mean, fantastic dudes, appear to be great athletes. Well, I don't say fantastic dudes. I don't really dig Harper's personality. Mike Trout seems like a very nice guy, very likable guy. Harper actually seems like a jackass, to tell you the truth. But nonetheless, he's still fantastic. I mean, even if he doesn't, have a great disposition, he's still a fantastic ball player. For those 2 dudes to be at the top of the game, essentially running the game, that would be like, in basketball, that'd be like LeBron and Steph saying this game sucks, and it's boring and we need to change it, and the NBA not listening. Like, how tone deaf does Major League Baseball have to be? The two best and most marketable guys in your sport are saying, we want to do something else more exciting. We want to be able to flip the bat. We want to be able to talk some smack. We want to pretty much, we want to have a good time. That's what they're saying. They're saying they want to have a good time. They don't just want to sit in the dugout with a whole bunch of old dudes waiting to see who's going to spit on each other's shoes first. The whole gag season, yuck, yuck, yuck. It's not really that exciting to them. They want something else. They're saying it loud and clear. How could Major League Baseball not be listening? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And the more I thought back on Goose Gossage and where he's coming from, you don't always want to go to race and culture and whatnot, but his thing must have some race and cultural stuff with Latin ball players or what have you, because although he was quick to say something about Harper also. So, I mean, he was quick to say something about Harper, but I just don't understand how Goose says anything out of his mouth when he played with the likes of Reggie Jackson, Ricky Henderson, Mickey Rivers, Thurman Munson, and Dave Winfield. These were the cats Goose Gossage was playing with. None of these was a wallflower. These guys all had their own, quirks and personalities and were outspoken individuals, etc. I just don't understand how Goose Gossage starts to say out of his mouth, hey, look, these guys today, they've got no respect for the game. It's not like the guys who I was playing with. Reggie Jackson was legendary for just being a complete jerk, flipping his bat. Dave Winfield, I think, used to take like a half hour to trot around the bases. Not Mickey Rivers. Ricky Henderson was doing like pirouettes, on first base when he got to first, and then was turning the corner to go to second. Taking his time, trotting around the bases for forever, adjusting his sunglasses, anything to draw attention to himself, and absolutely taking his time. And yet, we are sitting here trying to, say that today's athletes have, quote unquote, no respect for the game. These guys don't respect the game and the rules of the game. It just sounds stupid after a while, man. I'm tired of the old dudes, tired of Gossage, tired of all of them. It's just not a good look. Not a good look at all. That being said, I want to turn and look at professional basketball, the NBA. The NBA playoffs have started, which is a good thing. The favorites appear to be Steph and the Warriors. Now that they're coming off of 73, if it ain't hot and it ain't right, if it's not Steph and them, I don't know who it would be. So they appear to be the odds-on favorites, although in the West, they're going to potentially have some competition from San Antonio, and in the East, it looks like LeBron and them are going to do their thing. A couple of thoughts though, just globally, on basketball. Number one, this thing with Steph getting hurt or getting injured the other day, yesterday, specifically against Houston, I think is unfortunate, and I think that the persona that Steph has, not just his persona, it's his, look, straight up, it's his size. It's his size. It's his size. It's being like a small frame body, only 6'2", 6'3", and just being kind of a smaller built, light-skinned kid with a baby face. Somehow he is not worthy, quote unquote, of people's respect, and they go out of their way to disrespect him and try to, take shots at him, either in the media or literally kind of take shots at him like this kid did, Beverly did from Houston yesterday, which is unfortunate. And now Steph looks like he's got an ankle injury, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that will not be a real problem, because that would be incredibly, incredibly unfortunate. One of my pet peeves that I take issue with, whether or not it's NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, is anytime guys intentionally try to hurt another guy with a cheap shot, That's like my biggest pet peeve in the world. Now, full disclosure, part of that may come from me in that I got hurt in college. I think it arguably was a cheap shot. I've never been a fan of cheap shots anyway, but I did get hurt playing college ball. It did a lot of damage to my knee, and I think ultimately to my career. So it is a sensitive subject and a sore subject, but I just hate to see guys just taking unnecessary shots, and I find it to be very, very unfair. So whether or not it's in football, baseball, basketball, anywhere like that. Now I do draw a line. Guys who are hustling legitimately and really trying to do the right thing, I don't take issue with that. And in football, that can include, if you're playing football and you're just going to run up and hit a guy as hard as you possibly can and try to break one of his ribs, I don't take issue with that. That could be a good, solid football hit that you are supposed to hit him as hard as possible. So that's totally legitimate to me. I don't take issue with that. But I do take issue because at least that part of one's body, they arguably have fairly protected, or at least they see it coming because it's a head-on shot. They can brace themselves, what have you. But when a guy takes a shot at a guy's leg or does something like that, that's when I'm totally out on that. That's the problem I had with Vontez Perfect. That's the problem I had with Ndamukong Suh. Just guys who are just consistently taking cheap shots in order to hurt another player, injure his career. I just think is so fundamentally wrong. And I think in the case of Steph Curry, this cat from Houston, I think was going after him fairly aggressively. And I think the whole league is frustrated. I think the whole league is frustrated, and they see Steph and they're like, you know what? There's nothing we can do with this cat. We can't do anything with him. We cannot do anything with him. We have seen it all season long. We have tried. We've pressed him. We've tried picking him up, earlier in the court. We've tried picking him up in the backcourt. Sometimes he's putting up shots in the backcourt. So you can't even say that you safely have tried to pick him up in the backcourt and then follow him into the front court. He has literally hit shots over half court. So that makes it problematic. But I don't think that the league should allow people's frustration with Steph to get to the point where they allow him to be injured. And these guys, to hear whether or not it's this guy who was playing him yesterday, or whether or not it's a guy like Bruce Bowen, who he is at ESPN now, and everybody thinks that Bruce is so smart and so cute because he's got on a bow tie, and Bruce does his thing, and he used to play really hard and used to be really annoying and used to quote unquote get in people's heads. Well, you know what? Bruce Bowen also acknowledges that he used to take cheap shots at people, and that he used to intentionally try to place his body and his feet underneath guys so that when they landed, they would twist their ankle by landing on his feet. I think Bruce Bowen is a scumbag. Really, I think he's a scumbag. And I don't understand why, as a league, they didn't call him on it when he was playing. And I don't understand why a platform like ESPN celebrates his career and his antics afterwards with no remorse. It's not like he's apologizing. He's sitting there yucking it up about the fact that he used to intentionally try to get his legs and his feet underneath guys and take out their knees or twist their ankles or what have you when they landed. And I just think that's a punk move by a guy who just really didn't have that much ability. If he had real ability, beyond just hustling to be in the spot so that when people land, they potentially injure themselves, how about just play hard? How about play defense? How about just play defense, play some offense, work on your skill set, do the best you can, Bruce. But don't go out and intentionally try to hurt people. And then for you to have a secondary career where you run around in a bow tie